Okay, hello everybody. I'm back for my labor and delivery story, so I thought I'd have little Thea here. We just got back from the fire department to make sure her car seat was installed correctly, which it is now. So I highly recommend it. They're very, very helpful. So it's really a good thing to do. So let's see. I guess my story starts on December 3rd. All day I had Braxton Hicks, but I thought absolutely nothing of it because I've been having kind of Braxton Hicks contractions for a while. And so I just kind of, whatever. It's another day because I was 41 weeks on that day. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go forever. Never ever going to have a baby. So, yeah, I had my Braxton Hicks going all day, and we went and saw Twilight, or the second one, New Moon, that night. And then we got home and just, you know, it was just a normal evening. My family was all here and we kind of just hung out, and then went to bed. And I was lying in bed, and around 11 my water broke. And everyone always talks about how it's not really like a gush. Only like 3% of people is a gush. Usually it's a trickle. No, mine was a gush. It was definitely a huge and I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. Ah! Kind of freaked out, and it was very exciting. And I get up, and, you know, and then another gush, and it was huge again, and soaked my pants, soaked everything. And I was like, crap. And so I went and told my mom. I was like, Mom, wake up, it's happening. And then there was another gush, and I soaked my second pair of pants. It's a lot of fluid can go in your belly there, and it's very exciting. I was very surprised by the whole thing. But my mom said, okay, well, you know, well, she was in labor with me for 3 days, and my husband's mom was in labor with him for about the same amount of time. So we just figured, okay, this is the start of it. We have another 3 days to go, or at least 2, or at least 1. So why don't you just go back to bed and sleep? So that's what we did. We cleaned everything up, got back into bed, went to sleep, except that I couldn't sleep. Contractions started coming, and they felt like Braxton Hicks at first, kind of just harder Braxton Hicks. And then they kept coming, and they kept coming, and they felt like they were like 7, 8, sometimes 10 minutes apart. And I was like, man, I cannot sleep through this. So after about 45 minutes, I got up and I went into my mom's room, and I was like, Mom, I can't sleep through this. Because she was visiting, so she was sleeping in the nursery. And she's like, no, you're fine. Come lay down with me. Just sleep for a little while. You know, it's going to be a long haul. You'll want to sleep. So we laid down, and they just kept coming and coming every 7 to 8 minutes. And so I was like, Mom, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to sleep. This is it. And she's like, oh, I don't think so, not yet. And so I just laid there for a long time, probably an hour or 2, just going through the contractions. She's kind of just rubbed my back every time one hit, and was helping me to breathe through it, because they're definitely picking up in intensity. And so then, what was it, around, I don't know times. I have my little, if you want to see my birth story with times, go on to my Baby Babbles blog, and you can see it there. So what happened then was she started timing them, because she's like, okay, maybe we should time them. They seem to be coming really close together. And we started timing them, and they were starting to be, like, some of them were 4 minutes apart, and then 8 minutes, and then 4 minutes, and then 7 minutes, and then 4 minutes. So she's like, oh, well, do we call the midwife now? What do we do? And I was like, I don't know. You know, while breathing through contractions. And meanwhile, if I stood up, they would come right on top of each other. Like, literally, I couldn't stand up and walk around or anything like that to go to the bathroom. If I did, they were definitely right on top of each other. So we just kind of laid there. And she, finally, a couple hours went by, and my husband came into the room because he had been sleeping, and he's like, is everything okay? What's going on? And my mom's like, well, they're like 4 minutes apart. Should we call the midwives? He's like, yeah, definitely, because you're supposed to call at 511, which is 5 minutes apart, 1 minute long for 1 hour. They were definitely not quite, well, I guess they were a minute long. To me, they didn't seem like a minute long, but everyone else said they were a minute. So we called the midwives, and then meanwhile, my dad showed up. He was staying downstairs. He and my stepmom were staying downstairs in another guest room, and they came upstairs, and they were like, oh, my dad was like, oh, I thought that was the dog outside yelling because it was so cold, and he's like, I thought it was Elvis. I had no idea it was you until finally I was like, God, it can't be Elvis the dog. Oh, it's Aaron. Oh my gosh. So they ran upstairs, and they came up, and my dad started rubbing my back. My husband was rubbing my thighs, and my stepmom was kind of holding my hand, or at first she was just kind of watching and seeing what was happening. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law, I guess, was boiling water and doing all the things in the background that I wasn't aware of, but she was helping out a lot. And my mom was there, and she was rubbing my back, and they were kind of switching out because it was definitely a couple hours of that. The midwives got there about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and by then contractions were really, really, really on top of each other. If I got up. If I just laid there, which I did, I pretty much labored the whole entire thing on my side, on my left side. Just most comfortable position. I thought it was ironic. I was at home. I could take any position I wanted, and I chose pretty much a hospital position. So I thought that was a little strange. But it worked. It worked. I got through them really well, and you know, every time I didn't get to take classes or anything, so I was really worried about handling the pain. But turns out I just, you know, they kind of just helped me breathe through them, and I would kind of be like, oh, do this like low moaning thing, and that really helped for some reason. And we got through them, and they definitely gained in intensity and got worse and worse and worse. But you know, I had so much support and so much help that it really wasn't as bad as I anticipated. So then when the midwives got there, my mom's like, well, is it time? Can we start filling up the birth pool? I mean, we didn't know what to do, so they filled up the birth pool. I came back into this room. They deflated my mom's bed because she was staying in there. They filled up the birth pool. They took care of everything. I just kept laboring in here on my bed. And then finally they had me go into the pool. And once I got in there, first the midwife came in, and you know, I was thinking, okay, this isn't that bad. I'm having contractions. I definitely can't talk through them, but it's not that bad. I mean, it's not horrible. I sometimes had to scream at the top of a contraction, but it wasn't as intense as I was imagining, I guess. And so the midwife came. She's like, well, can I check you before you get into the pool? Because you're kind of making grunting, pushing noises. And I was like, well, it just kind of feels better to do that. And so she's like, well, let me just check you. And this is the first time I'd ever been checked by her. So I was like, oh, gosh. Oh, no, this was second time, because I had been checked about a week previous just to see if I should do castor oil or something. But anyways, so she checked me, and I was like, oh God, I'm going to be at like 3 or 4, and I'm going to have to do this for another day, and oh my gosh, and I was at 8. And everyone like cheered pretty much when she said 8. It was really funny. They're all standing in the doorway like watching, like, oh my gosh, what's she going to be? And everyone like breathed a sigh of relief